That's them. Let's go down. What do you make of that, Al? Godzilla!
The world is stunned to discover that prehistoric creatures exist in the 20th century. Tracking stations show Godzilla heading in a southeasterly direction towards the offshore islands of Japan. He seems to be traveling in a straight line and on a predetermined course, though as yet we have no explanation as to why. Dr. Kenji Shigezawa, Minister of Defense, has been meeting with the Army Chiefs of Staff. The armies have been alerted as we wait for more news from Japan.
How's everybody doing today? This is Phil, the Kaiju King, from my collection room in Greater Cincinnati. In this video, I'm going to do a close-up and close-in-focus review of the my favorite gigantic figure, the X Plus Godzilla 1962 Gigantic Standard Edition. I will bring him forth right away. Alright everybody, here he is, the X Plus Godzilla 1962 Gigantic Series. This is the standard. I believe the Rick had the blue translucent fins, dorsal plate signifying his atomic breath release from the film. This thing is awesome. It's my favorite gigantic figure in my collection, at least until the coming week. Because of the coming week, I've got something really big and gigantic series coming. That's my favorite suit, and I'll talk about that more in a bit. But X Plus wise, this is my favorite in the lineup. Still is number one to me. It's from the most iconic, one of the most iconic movies in the whole Godzilla franchise, in my opinion. That movie is epic in two major ways, because it has both Godzilla and Kong in the movie. That is very significant that they got that accomplished in 1962. And I love the movie. It's, like I said, so groundbreaking and significant for the franchise. I think in originality it was supposed to be King Kong versus Frankenstein, if I'm correct in saying that. And that didn't work out quite, so they filled in with Godzilla, and I'm actually glad they put Godzilla in the film, because the other one would have been interesting to say the least. But I just feel like this was the perfect fight, the perfect matchup between two of the two biggest giant monsters there is, so it just made perfect sense. Toho ended up making a Frankenstein movie, about 3 years later, I think, so they did get that done. But I'm glad it ended up being Godzilla. I had zero problem with it being Godzilla. Very happy it ended up being him. But it's a very good movie, an iconic movie in the franchise and in the history of the series. It's led the way to next year. We'll have the rematch or the renewal of this in 2020. Godzilla vs. Kong is coming, and I can't wait to see that. It will be a very good film, and I think it's going to be an incredibly close fight, a lot closer than people warrant it, because I just feel like people are counting Kong out too easily. He's a fighter, he's a brawler, he's a survivor in his element, and this is a different Kong than we've seen before, because he's going to be probably a little over 300 feet tall, the biggest Kong by far. next to his last appearance, which was Kong Skull Island. He's going to be over 3 times that big, so I just feel like his advantage in the movie will be, he'll have some advantages in the movie, and it ain't going to be a clear-cut victory by either one. It's going to be a knockdown, drag-out fight, and I really hope it's just them two, but I feel like there's a team-up coming. That's my opinion. I'd rather see it just them two, but I think that's what's going to happen. As far as this figure, I got this in 2017 at G-Fest, actually. First G-Fest I attended. 2017, that's the only one I've been to, 2 years ago. And I picked up like 3 or 4 X Plus figures that day. I got this, I got the Godzilla 03 30 centimeter figure. I got the Gamera 67 30 centimeter. And I got the crab form Destroyer. That's all the X Plus stuff I got at that G-Fest. When I went there, I was still in catch-up mode and trying to catch up on my collection and find stuff like this that I had missed. And then since then, they re-released this thing. So I paid a decent penny for this thing, but I have no regrets on it because it is my favorite gigantic in the series. As far as the actual figure goes, I love the position of his pose and everything, and his footprint on the shelf isn't that dramatically space taking because they curved his tail to his right, and his tail hangs out to his right here, so don't go straight back or anything. So I think they did a good job with his pose. I like the pose. It's like he's swinging around to confront Kong. That's what when I look at this figure, that's what I think of. He's turning and to confront Kong. But they did a good job with the pose. I love the pose. The tail, of course, is this big, huge, wide tail, not so long of a tail, which is what the suit had. But it's very nice details on all the small little spikes on his tail. They go all the way up to the base of his back, and then they become his big dorsal plates on his back. But the tail is nicely done. Very nice tree bark skin all over the tail. The charcoal gray and the color of the suit signified really nicely on this, I think. His dorsal plates are really well done. I think they're very accurate to the film, in my opinion. And I actually like this standard. I think I like it. I don't have the Rick, but I think I prefer this because this is, to me, it looks dead on the movie. They're very nicely done. They're nice texturing on each individual dorsal plate. The dark grayish black on the inside of them, and then the dull bonish gray on the outside of the dorsal plates. It's really very well done on that respect. And the textures, the texturing, the detail and the sculpt texturing of the plates is very accurate in my opinion. I just watched some of the movie today in preparation for this review, and it's I think it's very well done. As far as his feet go, big old huge feet, 3-toed feet, just like the film. Big toenails, light gray toenails, I would say. Same with his finger, his hands and his claws. This Godzilla has the biggest hands of any Godzilla in the whole series, in my opinion. He always did have really big hands. If you looked at him, even in the film, like when he's coming to shore, when he first comes out of the iceberg, his hands just look huge. So I think they did a good job in portraying the size of his hands. His claws on his hands are the light gray as well. They're really nicely done. Big hands, which is what the suit had, so it signifies that. Of course, we got his big old thunder thighs and thunder legs, big, huge, wide in that area like the suit was. Very big. Nice details on the tree bark skin on his legs. Very nicely done on his legs, on the side of his body, on his arms, on his back. on his head. It's very, very nicely done. Definition on the tree bark skin, in my humble opinion. Of course, he's got big, bulky arms, and I love up here by where his arms meet his body. You can see the wrinkles, big, nice wrinkles in the suit on both sides of his arms. You see the folds and the wrinkles and everything on the suit wrinkles. Same thing on his legs. You can see very, very detailed suit wrinkles around the knees, especially from the knees up to his where his thighs connect to his body. There's very nice definition as so far as suit wrinkling and all that. It's just really a very nicely done figure. I mean, back here on his right leg, really big nice wrinkle right here. It just really signifies suit definition. And on his side here, on his sides, you see some big wrinkles. It just signifies suit accuracy, which what X Plus is known for when they do these is portraying what the suit was. So it's just really cool. Like all from his knees up, the wrinkle definition is probably some of the best in all the gigantic series. They all have it though, really, honestly. The 89 is pronounced with the suit wrinkles, and so is the 95, in my opinion. But really, really, really just the definition on it is really awesome. Of course, on his chest, nice skin texture. He has like brownish, reddish spots on his chest and on his neck, which is pretty cool. Just a couple of spots. It ain't prominent, but it's there. Of course, on his face and his head, he's got that, I guess a lot of people call it the Cookie Monster look. And he's really derpy looking. If you look at him head on, he's super derpy, which is okay. That's the charm of the Showa series. So, but as far as his head goes, he's got that signature derpy. If you look at him straight on, very big, wide mouth. Looks like he's smiling, to be honest. Like he just stole something. Shit-eating grin, I guess you could say. Pardon my French. But very nicely done. Details on the head. And the eyes are white with solid black pupils. And he's kind of looking up to me, in my opinion, kind of. A little bit. Maybe it's to signify he's looking up, looking for Kong when he was flying overhead of him, you know. But who knows? But he is kind of looking up, in my opinion. But really nice texturing on his cheeks, and his nose definition's pretty cool. It just screams a 67, in my opinion. Of course, inside of his mouth, the teeth are really excellently done in my eyes, my view. They got some crooked, crazy teeth there. They all point inward, both top and bottom jaws. They're really kind of crazy all over the place there, especially toward the back of his jaws, which is signature of the Showa series Godzillas. Their teeth were kind of crazy crooked and stuff. And I'm guessing some of that may have been from the flexibility of the mouth and the suit, you know. Just kind of made him look that way, I'm guessing. Would be my guess, but he really does have good teeth, individually sculpted and everything, and nicely done. He has really good gum coloring on upper and lower gums, like pinkish, pretty much pinkish color. But it's a really awesome rendition of the 62 Godzilla. And the perfect piece for this would be a 62 Kong, gigantic, which I don't know we'll ever see anything like that, but be nice. I know Leslie Chambers has a custom, I believe, from Mark Sang Yang of a gigantic Kong that scales well with this thing, because I guess he kind of was like me. He don't know when and if X Plus will ever get a chance to do them. I'm pretty sure they want to do them. It's just all that licensing nightmare that they can't get past. So, but yeah, that is an avenue, is Mark Sang Yang to have a gigantic counterpart to this guy. And I know Leslie's, from what I've seen of it, it's a really nicely done sculpt of the 62. But this here is an excellent piece in my collection. I'm very glad I picked it up. I think I paid like $600 for it at G-Fest in 2017. And I think later on in that fall is when they reissued the Gigantics of this one. And I think a lot of them they reissued. This one, the 2000, the GMK. I think they reissued the Burning Godzilla as well. Since then, we've gotten the 89, the Shin, the 64, and the 54, and those never have seen a reissue, which I wish they would do that for people that don't have them. This is a really good quality piece from X Plus. Nicely done. I'll go ahead and do a couple size comparisons here, and we'll move on to those right now. Alright everybody, I'm back. Here is my X Plus Gigantic 62 with my custom Godzilla 1975 with holding Mecha Godzilla's head. So pretty cool. This 62 is a hefty figure, even in comparison to my 75, but this suit was much bulkier, especially from the waist down, than almost every suit really. It's really bulky. It's pretty cool. Alright, I'll do a couple more here, size comparisons, and we'll do that right now. Alright everybody, I got my X Plus Gigantic 62 face to face with my custom made Ramarak skull crawler from Kong Skull Island. Big, thick, bulky Godzilla, and I love it. Alright, we'll go on to one more, well, two more, but I'll bring them at the same time. Size comparisons, and we'll do that right away. Alright everybody, I'm back here somewhere. This is my 64 Gigantic X Plus Rick edition. Blue translucent plates. This is what the Rick had of the 62, if I'm not mistaken. The blue translucent plates, and my Gigantic 1954 Sakai. I figured gotta get the Showa brethren up here, and this makes sense to have Showa recognized, because these three are the Gigantics from Showa in my collection that are X Plus, not including my 75, which is a custom. Alright, we'll go on to some closing thoughts momentarily, and I'll be right back with you. Alright everybody, I'm back. Quick closing thoughts on this figure. It's really excellent. I know it got reissued, I think late in 2017, if I'm not mistaken. It was after I had bought this, and I bought this in July of 17 at G-Fest, so I think it was later in that year when they got reissued. But it's an excellent figure. I highly recommend it. I think they're all sold out now, even the reissues that got sent reissued. I'm pretty sure, I think they're probably sold out by now. But they were like, this one was like just over $300, I think, with the reissue, which is a really good price for this quality of a big figure. So, but now I'm not really sure how much it would be on the aftermarket. You could always, if you're interested in one of these, just keep an eye on the X Plus collectors group. There's always people on there selling figures, and every now and then Gigantics do pop up for sale. So, but it's a really good figure. I highly recommend it, and I prefer this standard over the Rick with the dorsal plates. So, with the blue dorsal plates, I just prefer this. This is more natural looking of this Godzilla, as far as the but the blue signified as atomic breath attack, so that's cool too. Nothing wrong with it. All right, I will bring the camera closer to give a close-up for this guy. I want to thank everybody for their kind attention and time. This is Phil, the Kaiju King, from my collection room in Greater Cincinnati. You all have a wonderful, wonderful kaiju-filled day. What's up, everybody? I meant to say, before I close down my video, next week I'll have a gigantic that will probably surpass all my gigantics in my collection. And I can't wait to get it and do a review. It's going to be a really, really awesome piece, and I really am looking forward to it. I will talk to you all later. This is Phil, the Kaiju King, and I will see you all again very, very, very soon.